James Wan must have had some seriously fucked up nightmares when he was a kid. Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I know and love very, very much. Horror! Horror! The Conjuring film series may just be the best horror movies you will ever watch because they will leave you unable to sleep for days, weeks, maybe even months, maybe even for the rest of your life if you're a fucking coward, which I'm not because I'm awesome. I only managed to go a week without sleeping. Anyway, guys, the Conjuring movies are a very, very mighty fine piece of work in the horror genre because they deal a lot with realism. Everything that happens in the Conjuring movies are based on true events. So, to me, that's actually a lot more frightening than whatever the hell the slasher case movies can provide us with, you know? Because the more violence a movie presents to us, the less realistic it feels, at least in my opinion. I'm not saying that just because I hate violence. I almost puke at the sight of it, too much blood and gore on screen. But let's talk a little bit about The Conjuring. The first one came out back in 2013, based on the true events of the Perron family who were apparently haunted by a malevolent entity in their farmhouse. Farmhouse? Is that on a farm? What? Not a farmhouse, just their little dilapidated house near a lake. And now I'm gonna, as I discuss these movies, I'm going to give quite a few spoilers, so if you haven't watched a single Conjuring or Annabelle movie yet, you know, then just don't even watch from here. Just give this video a like and go watch something else. But anyway, the first Conjuring movie, directed by James Wan, gives us quite a really good visceral taste of what modern horror has to offer us. Because The Conjuring is just incredible. Many people argue that it's not a very scary movie. Well, I disagree. I think it really is, but scary in a good way, you know? Because it sort of takes what the classical horror movie tropes from before did and sort of like modernized it, you know? And I think that the way James Wan did it is just so incredible, so, you know, effective, because I've watched The Conjuring, the first one, at least a dozen times, and I still get scared. You know, I know where all the scares are, I know what it's about, what's gonna happen, but it still creeps me the fuck out. That's how good of a movie it is, you know? And here's the thing. Basically, it deals with, Hollywood always puts a little bit of a twist on. Of course, not everything you see in the movie is exactly 100% what happened in real life, but in the movie, there is an entity called Bathsheba, who's apparently a witch who committed suicide after proclaiming her love to Satan way back in the days, and she puts a curse on the land that whoever takes her land will, I guess, die, because that's what happens to everyone. And eventually the government started subdividing that land into smaller pockets of the land and selling it off to people. So what was originally like a 200-acre farm or something became a lot of small different neighborhoods, you know, different houses. And of course people started, you know, getting fucked up the ass. And crazy thing is that the movie takes place in a more modern era where it was in the 1970s. So like shit starts happening. And the mother gets possessed, tries to kill the daughters. It has a pretty dark atmosphere. And we have, of course, the paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are actually real-life paranormal investigators, by the way. Like I said, it's all based on a true story. You guys can research these movies if you're skeptical or not. You can research them. These things really did happen. And the first Conjuring movie did really well to illustrate that, because the scares are so visceral, they're vicious, they're ferocious, you know? And of course it's not the most scariest horror movie on the planet, but it still does its job as a horror movie, you know, in my opinion. There are a lot of really tense moments, you know, and an example of which is when two of the sisters, there are 5 sisters, two of them are sleeping in the same room, and something starts pulling one of them, trying to pull one of them off the bed during the night. On one of those nights, she actually sits up and she starts feeling uneasy, and she sees something that apparently only she can see in the corner of the room, and she sees it, apparently hears it talking to her, and then it slams the door, and that was a really effective scare. There was also another one where the mother was trying to, they have this thing in the movie where they play hide and clap, which it's like hide and seek, but one person has their eyes blindfolded and the other one has to clap somewhere and you have to try and find them, and that was so great. That was awesome, because there was a scene that James Wan used where he sort of like really took advantage of that, because the mother was playing hide and clap with one of her daughters, and like we see she's blindfolded, but we, the audience, see a pair of hands coming from out of the dresser behind some clothes and clapping, and the mother goes to see what it is, and later on her actual daughter shows up behind her. It's really crazy. There's also another jump scare in the movie involving that, but I'm not gonna spoil that part, because if you still haven't watched it, you're going to fucking have to. Fast forward one measly little year and we have Annabelle, the spin-off to The Conjuring, which is also based on a true story, which talks about Annabelle, the supposedly haunted or cursed doll that resides right now at the Warrens Occult Museum in Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a really crazy story behind her too. Apparently, like, a mother bought that doll for her daughter who was a nurse and living with another friend of hers who was also a nurse, and like the doll looked really cute. It was like one of those Raggedy Ann dolls, you know, and nothing out of the ordinary the first few days, but eventually, eventually the doll started moving on its own. Not that they would see it, but it's like the doll would be here on the couch. I have a couch here. The doll would be here on the couch. They would get home and the doll would be on the bed, you know, or they would leave it on the bed and they would get home and it would be in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It would start moving apparently on its own because they wouldn't take it, they wouldn't pick it up and put it in places. It just would start appearing on its own. A whole lot of shit happened. They started finding notes all over the house written like in crayon or some shit, or with a child's handwriting, and it started becoming really, really uneasy. And eventually they found out that there was supposedly the spirit of a young girl trapped in there named Annabelle who wanted to, you know, like live with them because she wanted to sort of like feel like she was being cared for. Of course, that was bullshit. What was actually in the doll was a demon, and it wanted to possess them or do some kind of random crazy shit. And they let the doll in. They allowed the entity to come into their home, and that's when all hell broke loose. And of course, there are different takes on what happened after that, but basically it got crazy, it got frenetic. You know, it's not as detailed a story as what I'm going to get into with the other Conjuring movies, but the movie Annabelle obviously exaggerates everything. It's not even the same fucking story. They instead of telling the story of the actual Annabelle doll, which I think is a lot scarier than what the movie showed, they tried to create an origin story. So they made up a whole bunch of crap where a girl killed herself and put her blood into the doll and it became possessed with it just doesn't make any sense. We never know what the hell the doll is. If it's apparently it's being manipulated by demons all over the place, you know, but we also don't know because we see the spirit of the girl who killed herself all over the place. We see her as a little girl. We see this and that. It's a really confusing thing, you know, really confusing ordeal. The movie makes no sense, but it's still really scary, and that's the point there. That's the point. It's still scary. A lot of people would disagree. They think it's less scary than The Conjuring, but I think it is pretty frightening. I'm scared very easily. That's why I don't watch horror movies that are too damn frightening, you know. And I think that to me, someone like me, you know, it does the trick, you know. It's satisfactory as a horror movie, and the movie does have its scares. I think that all the scenes where we see the doll, like I said, in the movie you see the doll in one place and then in the next shot it moved. You know, it's either somewhere else or it's in a different position. That's really unnerving, you know? Like, of course, if we saw the doll move, it would be too much like Child's Play, like Chucky running around. It would be kind of cheesy, a little corny. I think that this way is a lot more, you know, effective in scaring us. Now, it's a really crazy ride throughout the movie. It's a really awesome movie. If you guys still haven't watched it, you suck, because the sequel is about to come out next week. What the hell are you waiting for? I'm gonna watch the sequel now and record a review about it, no doubt about it. And of course, the sequel, Annabelle Creation. No, I mean it's a prequel. It's a prequel to the prequel. The Conjuring is a movie. Annabelle was the prequel to it, something that happened before An Origin Story. Now Annabelle Creation is gonna be before that. Why is Hollywood so obsessed with going backwards? Fucking go forward, you assholes. Anyway. Now on to The Conjuring 2, which is, in my opinion, quite possibly the best horror movie I've ever seen. It does everything that the first one did, but better. It sort of adds even more to what the first one lacked. Not saying that the first one lacked anything. It was a great movie. I'd give the first Conjuring a solid 10 out of 10. Okay, I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10 And I'm taking away that 0.5 point because they killed the dog, Sophie, so fuck it. I don't like it when animals die. You killed a dog, so you're not getting a 10, Conjuring. The Conjuring 2, however, no animals die, so it gets a perfect solid 10 out of 10 because it's a really awesome movie. I saw it in theaters, the day it premiered. Watching a horror movie in theaters is so much different than watching it in the comfort of your own home because of just that. There's no comfort. It's you surrounded by a fuck ton of other people. Here in Brazil, people don't know how to watch movies. They really don't. If you go to a movie theater here anywhere in Brazil, you're gonna hear swearing, you're gonna hear yelling, you're gonna hear laughing, you're gonna hear joking, you're gonna hear screaming, you're gonna hear a whole bunch of crap, and people don't know how to just shut the fuck up and watch movies here. So I had to go through that. Horror movies are terrible here in Brazil because of that, but I still managed to have a good time watching it. And The Conjuring 2. Again, spoilers ahead. It takes place in Enfield in England, which, again, based on a true story, happened in the 1980s. You can look it up if you don't believe me. And the Enfield poltergeist is the topic here. Apparently, there was some kind of malevolent entity also in this house that I have to admit that I'm extremely skeptical about this true story than the first one, because I did look it up, I researched it, and a whole lot of shit looked faked. But hell, who am I to judge? Whatever, it's just my opinion, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. Look it up if you to make your own opinions. But the second movie, my point being, the second movie is really, really great because it illustrates everything that we wouldn't see in real life. It's based on a true story, and the way that The Conjuring 2 based that is incredible. The second movie has even more jump scares than the first, and it's just great. There's one scene in particular, it's so unnerving. Almost, it's like you actually feel your heart pounds in your chest at the jump scares. Now we have an old man, an entity who's supposedly the antagonist, until we find out later that it's actually some kind of demon nun called Valak. And here's the thing. There's going to be another spin-off later, maybe next year, called The Nun, which is about that character, so watch out for that. But basically, it's like that nun is manipulating the poor old man's spirit to try and haunt the place so everyone can leave, because apparently that's its actual residence, or it just wants to possess the Janet, the little girl. I don't exactly remember. I only saw it once, but it's a really, really, really great experience because you really feel the tension, you feel the horror. It really does make you be afraid, but that's what's good, because that movie it's an example of a modern horror movie done wrong. All Hollywood has been doing in the past years is remaking old horror movies, and we don't need any more remakes. The old ones are good the way they are. So James Wan is taking something that no one has ever tried. He's not exactly being original, but he's taking something in real life and putting it like into his own words and how he would imagine that to happen. And The Conjuring 2 has a lot of realism in spades. So many jump scares, My favorite one, what would be my favorite jump scare? I would guess the one where Janet is in her room upstairs with all the crosses that start turning upside down, and out from the shadows the old man bursts out, scares the audience, scares Janet. And it was just really crazy. My favorite tension building moment was probably when one of the characters, Lorraine Warren, is in her house and the demon finds her, and it's actually a vision. It doesn't really happen, but it's really cool because she goes into a room where there's a painting that her husband made of the nun's head, and we see the shadow of the nun moving through the wall, across the walls, until it gets behind the painting, and it stands there so its head is aligned with the painting, and it just lunges at her. It's so well done, You've got to hand it to James Wan. He really knows how to direct a horror movie. His Twitter name isn't Creepy Puppet for nothing, The Conjuring 2 is great, and I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just a perfect movie. I give it a solid 10 out of 10. So effective in scaring literally everyone, If you didn't like the first Conjuring, you didn't think it was scary, and if you didn't think Annabelle was scary, there was no way in hell you can't find the second Conjuring movie scary. That movie is scary. You cannot watch it and not be scared. If you are a pussy trying to be a badass. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the cast now to finish this off. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are just one of the greatest on-screen couples I've ever seen. They do such a good job of portraying Ed and Lorraine Warren, In real life, Ed is deceased, rest his soul, and Lorraine is still alive. She's a proclaimed clairvoyant, and, she actually was one of the consultants on the movie, on the films. She would go on set, give advice to the actors, and sort of share her experience with all of them. And she herself said that the movies were portrayed very well in the sense that they tried to capture what actually did happen in real life. Of course, there were many differences, and I think that the cast in general across all movies were really talented, but I do want to give a highlight to Patrick and Vera because they're just great. I love their work, like outside of those movies and other things that they do, but it's just really great, you know, seeing them together, playing that couple, you know, and it's just absolutely, it's really entertaining. It's really good to watch the chemistry that they have together. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit cheesy, you know. The ending of the second movie, the second Conjuring movie was incredible. I still give it a 10 out of 10, but the ending was so cheesy. The ending was just so corny. I mean, Ed and Lorraine, they go back to their place and they start dancing, slowly dancing with music playing in the background, and it was just really crappy. The ending was crappy. It could have ended a little. I mean, the first movie ended on a cliffhanger, for Christ's sake. Why couldn't the second one do that too? As far as I remember, anyway, it didn't. So now, yeah, everyone did a really good job. The cast, you know, the director, James Wan, he's incredible, really awesome film director. He really should do more horror movies. Wasn't too big a fan of Insidious 1, 2, or 3, but I still think that he does a lot of really good work, and the Conjuring movies show that. I think he directed the Saw movies too, didn't he? Or he had a part in it. I don't know. I'm gonna look that up later again. But he does such a good job on the Conjuring movies, and there will be more coming soon because the Warrens, their case file is vast. There's so many case files that the Warrens have. I mean, we've had movies of the Amityville horror already, the Amityville case, but why can't The Conjuring 3 be about Amityville? Why can't James Wan put his own twist on it? Maybe. Then again, that would be remaking the original film in the 80s, which was itself remade in 2005 with Ryan Reynolds. Never mind, don't do that. But who knows? Who knows? I think that there's a pattern here. In 2013, we had the first Conjuring. In 2016, we had the second one. Maybe in 2019 is when we're gonna get the third one. Maybe James is releasing these every 3 years or so. I don't know. Let's see. But we do have the spin-off of the sequel to Annabelle coming next week. I'm going to watch it, and we also have The Nun coming in sometime in between that. So I guess the wait isn't gonna be too hard for the third Conjuring movie. I'm pretty sure James is gonna do it. That's it, guys. That's it. I'm running out of time here. That's my review of the Conjuring franchise. My title: is The Conjuring the greatest horror franchise of all time? Yes. In my opinion, it is. It's better than everything we've ever seen. Excluding slasher flicks, it's better than The Exorcist. It's better than The Omen. It's better than that other one, Poltergeist. It's better than The Ring. It's better than The Grudge. It's better than whatever, you know? It's better than anything, in my opinion, because it is scary. It's modern horror done the right way. So yes, I don't think there are any other movies that are scarier than the Conjuring ones. You can disagree with me all you want. It's your right to your opinion, but it's my opinion that it is. That's it. Thank you guys for sticking around, for being here after all this time. And if you happen to love horror the same way I do, give this video a like. Comment down below what your favorite horror movies are. Maybe we can have a discussion. And share this video with all your friends who also do. And I hope you're not watching this at night with all the lights turned off in your room by yourself, because there's a chance you're not going to be able to sleep properly after it. I'm kidding. So that's it. This is Igor Chesterfield signing off for now, and I will see you guys in my next video.